Is there any hope, Gandalf?
There never was much hope. Just a fool's hope.
Hey everyone, welcome back to As Out with Nick, John, and our expert Kyle. So we're going to be talking about the Amazon teaser trailer for their new Lord of the Rings series. What we think about that. This will be the first time that all of us together have been conversing about it. And we want to hear what you've all been thinking about as well. It's gotten quite a bit of comments on the interwebs.
Yes.
But it's also broken all kinds of records for viewership. So that means it's doing some things right, maybe some things wrong, but that's the fun of having this conversation.
Yeah. And we love Lord of the Rings here. We love it so much. We broke down the Lord of the Rings animated movie in 15-minute segments, comparing it to the
We
original,
still have yet to do the Return of the King animation.
which is next on our list. And we also want to do the Hobbit one, too. So we have so much fun. Go check those out. We're just huge original Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings fans at heart. The reason why I got into wanting to make movies and VFX and all that fun stuff, animation, is because of the behind the scenes, the making of Lord of the Rings, which was so amazing. It was like 18 hours of just how they stitch every costume to how everything worked and blah, blah, blah. There's so much info. I just took it all in, and now I'm here, a nerd, for the rest of my life.
To this day, I still think of it as one of the best, kind of featurettes of making. I mean, obviously it helps that there was 3 very long movies to source from, but they had that idea from the get-go. They were going to document this whole process, and they really released it all. And I know there's some Pixar movies have huge bonus features with all kinds of
nothing's like this, though.
The Lord of the Rings covered it really well because I believe it comes with the Blu-ray sets now, 4K regular Blu-ray, but I originally saw them on the DVDs and then, Blu-rays, but it's just a wealth of information and it's fascinating stuff too.
And with us today, we have Pecos with a 0. Go check out his Instagram. Amazing artwork. He does fantasy, sci-fi, everything. So right off the bat, you have the quote, right? With the epic Lord of the Rings landscape or whatever. And it's like, with wandering, or I can't remember what the exact quote was, but when I heard it, I was like, that sounds a lot like the pacing beats to, what are we fighting for? That there's some good left in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for. Like, when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like the same exact pacing.
There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering.
There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for. There's some good
wonders
in this world, Mr.
Frodo, beyond our wandering.
I'm like, are they really trying to hit us with the nostalgia berries here? Like right off the bat, like the pacing of the way they said something totally reminded me of that quote. So I was just like, oh. And I put that in Discord for you guys. And obviously you guys didn't watch it before, but I'm telling you now, which is amazing.
I mean, they would be crazy not to try to ride the nostalgia train a little bit with this series. I mean, there's so much of a known audience for this that they need to tap into it. And I'll be curious to get your guys' thoughts as we're going through.
Yeah.
If you took out the Lord of the Rings references as far as text, would you have thought this as a Tolkien Lord of the Rings property? We'll get into that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as trying to pace it like the trailers for the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies were great trailers. So for them to want to try and kind of pace it after that would be smart, I would imagine.
Well, so
even for a teaser trailer.
I don't know if it was paced. I don't know, because it was so short too. We're talking about like 30 seconds of content, but I wanted to just touch on that really quickly, just to ask you guys, if they are playing off nostalgia berries, you think it was a good idea they recasted Elrond and Galadriel?
I mean, I'm assuming the original actresses and actors weren't wanting to come back for this stuff, or they didn't have the budget. I think they probably had to.
Okay,
well, this is
they don't age really, right?
Thousands of years. Yeah, so they could have used the same, I guess.
Well, now let's remember this, all right? So that the age part is very poignant here. So the first movie was like 20 years ago, 1999, right?
Yeah.
Or more than 20 years ago. And the actors and actresses that played those characters have aged, right? I know movie makeup and like CG can do a lot, right?
Deep fakes.
But if we want the physical actors to do that stuff, then it's not gonna they're not gonna hold up, right, for the role, because that's the thing. The role
People
is
are
eternal.
loving Luke.
The actor that portrays the role is not. Right?
Yeah. People are loving seeing Luke though.
Yes.
Not me.
Now
with
movie
the
magic,
Boba Fett. I'm just saying overall though, people are really enjoying like you know, like the whole process of that. And if they really wanted to keep it like related, if it is still related to the Peter Jackson movies, we don't know yet. This can be like a whole new separate world that's different from Peter Jackson's world. Because I know they're taking liberties with the story too. They're adding a lot of new characters. They're kind of changing the plot. Like they're kind of taking a lot of liberties with the story. I think, yeah. But anyways, go on.
I don't know how long we're going to talk about this, guys, but I got a lot to say about this sort of stuff. So
hey, go for it. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So the thing is that, like, again, with the characters. So remember, these, like, this is stuff that's starting to get into the realms of mythology and religion, right? And in the sense that we have these specific characters or like archetypes or roles that people play, right? So it doesn't necessarily, it's not so much important that the same actor is portraying that character from the story. It's so much they carry on the essence or that spirit of that character with the new actor and actresses, right?
Okay, cool.
So like that's the thing is like I'm not too concerned they've changed the actors. What I am concerned about is if they do the role of the character justice. That's the only thing. And then like going on with like how we're going into like religion and stuff, it's tied in with that, I feel, because like if we think about other religious texts of the world, right, you have people who are true believers, right, and they actually are like, no, it says this, and this is a fundamental representation of what the word of whatever deity it is, right? And here the deity is J.R.R. Tolkien, right? He is the author of these books, the original creator of them, and people love their and we get this through different avenues like nostalgia that we just talked about, right? Also like literal representation of what was written versus what the director's vision is, right? It doesn't always align. And so it kind of hits similar chords in that respect, right? So like that's why I'm never really surprised when people get up in arms about this sort of stuff, especially with these big fandoms, is because they operate a lot like a belief system in a lot of ways, because there's all this mythology and story to it, right?
That's true. No, it's
sorry,
totally true.
Rant over. I don't.
Yeah, and you know, it's earned too. Like I feel like if any fan base has like a say to change something, it's probably the Lord of the Rings fan base. Like I know the OneRing.net was so involved with the original movies too. Like they were so involved. Like even when it came to like behind the scenes stuff and all this, like that community was just so behind it. And like the Peter, you know what I mean? Where they kind of got the stamp of approval. I don't know yet if they kind of got the stamp of approval or anything for this new series and stuff like that. But there's a quote in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Gandalf says, you know, Pippin's like, is there any hope, for instead of Frodo and Sam, I'm going to say for this Amazon series. And Gandalf's like, it was never any hope. It was a fool's hope. You know what I mean? Like, or I can't do Gandalf's voice, but John's
only a fool's hope.
Yes, only a fool's hope. That's what I feel like here. Cause like we can only hope, right, that Amazon's going to do their best with this amazing property that they bought for a high dollar amount, and they're spending even more money making it. Like you're talking about like billions of dollars here that's being shelved out for Lord of the Rings, which is amazing that someone's gonna give $1 billion to Lord of the Rings. Like, you know, like just that idea alone, like wow, $1 billion to play with, you know, these toys and create this world and all that stuff. But it's like you gotta hope it's gonna work. But
how much did they spend on the first 3 Lord of the Rings movies altogether? I mean, they did shoot them all at once, right? But I can't remember what the budget was for that. I mean,
it couldn't be $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that was over 20 years ago, but at the same time, man, that's crazy how much.
And it was
more
very low budget too at times. Like when it came to like the crew and like not saying it was low budget, but like the stuff they had to do, like they were really pioneering a lot of stuff too. So they were like figuring it out and stuff like that. So I feel like maybe the total was like 700 million maybe to make all 3 movies.
So, I don't know if
quick.
I don't know if this is no, never mind. Okay. So what I'm getting here is the budget for all 3 films total was $281 million.
That doesn't sound right.
No, that has
I
to
know
be,
it.
Yeah.
So well,
that's true.
The Lord of the Rings budget total, all 3 films, $281 million budget. Now, how much they made, that's a different story.
What about The Hobbit? Maybe that would be a better comparison. The Hobbit's budget.
Okay, for all Hobbit films.
That was shot in stereoscopic because they did it in 3D, so that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
they also didn't shoot it on film either.
All right, so it looks like oh, that's weird. I think I might just be getting it for just the first Hobbit film, which is kind of ridiculous.
What's the first Hobbit film?
I think it's 180 million. So already we're kind of like more than half,
6 million.
or almost half, or no, yeah, more than half.
So it'd be 600 million roughly,
Yeah.
give or take. With extra cost or whatever.
Boy, am I gonna get it in the comment section. But I think I'm reading this right. I think so. We'll
If
see.
not, please correct Kyle.
Yeah. Please yell at me all you want. Okay.
John, are you excited for this new series? I just want to ask you, you're a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. Taking arrows.
Yeah.
Were you taking arrows like Boromir? How about you were feeling?
I was taking 30 seconds of arrows, I have to say. I mean, so first off, it's a teaser trailer, right? We don't get anything from that for the most part. But if you took out, the rings of power at the end, and before there was such and such, if you took out those references textually to the original trilogy and you just showed me the video, I wouldn't have thought or guessed that was, Lord of the Rings content. It didn't feel or look like that to me. And again, I'm only going off 30 seconds of stuff, but to me that looked more like I didn't watch the whole series, but Wheel of Time I think was Amazon, right? I saw
which is Amazon
my wife
too.
watched that, and I didn't particularly like that. I didn't think the budget, looked like the style was something that I was really interested in, and I love the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson style, so there was a disconnect for me there, and that looked far more like that, or just your general fantasy movie.
I totally see
but
that.
But again, I was talking with my wife Kate about this the other day when we were driving, and we were just talking about fantasy looks in general, and she was saying, she goes, yeah, back when we got Lord of the Rings, we had fantasy movies before and after that, obviously, but that kind of set the bar as fantasy being a hugely monetizable type of thing to create. Before that, we had those movies, but they weren't immensely successful like that. So that it's hard to stand out in the fantasy realm now is kind of actually in due part to the Lord of the Rings. And so it's, maybe that's why it doesn't feel so unique, because we have so much more fantasy in our entertainment now.
You know what's funny? Moments of it reminded me of The Hobbit.
Really?
Yeah, like the landscapes, the buildings, like all the the epic like it's super clean and crisp, which totally reminded me of The Hobbit. Like like the clean, even when she's like she's on the glacier wall or the wall from Game of Thrones. She's like climbing the wall. That's what I thought. Like, oh, it's a giant ice wall. Oh no, but she like jumps over. I'm like, oh, that could have been a shot out of The Hobbit. I feel like, because The Hobbit kind of went that way with the styles where it was kind of not as grounded as Lord of the Rings, right? Like Lord of the Rings felt grounded, except for like the 3 times where like that one moment Legolas had in like every movie where he did his extraordinary thing, where he was like sliding on a shield or like fighting an elephant all by himself. I just felt like in The Hobbit we had tons of those moments where like the dwarves were just like falling millions of feet but catching each other and like hitting things and killing things. I mean, like it just felt like a video game character where you can fall from great heights and get up and fight and stuff. Where in Lord of the Rings we had that Peter Jackson like horror stuff, right? Remember in the Mines of Moria, like he slices the head off and like blood just spews out, bad. Like it was just so different. It was just different. Like it felt like a clean show. It felt like a clean sci-fi show. No, not sci-fi, fantasy. Oh my gosh, we just got done filming Raised by Wolves. Forgive me. We did a Raised by Wolves video. I have sci-fi on the brain. Go.
It's all good. No, so and actually, Nick, to your defense, technically, sci-fi is an umbrella for fantasy.
Oh, thank you.
But the thing is, like, you bring up a good point, Nick. Is that like, Lord of the Rings trilogy was more grounded than The Hobbit, and I want to say that that's because The Hobbit originally is more of a children's story, right? So it's less grounded because there's more fantastical, whimsical things, right? Whereas you know, the
This is
original
more
Lord of the Rings.
like Greek mythology almost, right? Or wait,
Yeah.
maybe we're not going that far back though, right? Because it looks like it's going to be based around Numenor, so I don't know if we're going to get like the actual gods of creation and
like
stuff. in
Arda
this.
stuff. Yeah.
But I mean, it's more like the Second Age. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you start to get a lot of like cool, like a little bit more narratives, right? Of like specific characters.
But we have
You
like
know?
the hunter, right? Isn't there like a hunter god that's still like in middle? Like there's some still miraculous, like big
Yes.
bad. There's
Still
Balrogs
things
by
roam.
by
Yeah.
the dozen, the baker dozen all around fighting and stuff like that. So, which could be cool to see tons of Balrogs, like with their whips, like all 20 of them or whatever. Okay, go on, Kyle.
No. That was about it. That's all I was saying.
Are you excited, Kyle? I want to know if you're excited.
Yeah. No. So like, I know that wasn't very convincing. No. I think you know, John, I think you said it. You know, just with the proliferation of fantasy these days, I think that it hits a little different, right? It doesn't hit less. I just say that like there's so much more to consider with other stuff now that it's no longer like a singular spectacle, right? It's a spectacle out of many, and so that kind of makes it a little bit. That's why it hits different. So I'd say like yes, I'm definitely gonna be watching this, right? For sure. My eyeballs will be on a screen, looking at this stuff. But it's just it's just different.
And then I also heard like they're even creating new like characters and creatures and stuff like that too. Like they're gonna have like a different form of a hobbit. It's called like Little Foots or Little Feets or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they're creating like maybe not different, but like subspecies or I don't know. Like,
Actually, you know what? The whole subspecies thing and like creating different things that actually can fit within the lore
because of orcs and stuff like that. And you're
and also because of like didn't some cataclysmic of I'm trying to remember back from the Silmarillion. Didn't some cataclysmic event happen to where a lot of stuff got redone, or was that after the first age?
That might have been after the fall of Numenor.
Okay, so that's the thing is that like if depending on which time era we're in, a lot of you know like lost knowledge, right? It's like like of course they wouldn't know because that was lost with like all this great tumult that happened, right? With the changing of the ages, right? So who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting too because like who's writing this story? Because like in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, it was clear that Bilbo wrote The Hobbit. Frodo wrote Lord of the Rings, right? You know what I mean? Like with the movies at least, you know, so I'm trying to think about with the show, it's like if they still go that route, like there's a writer for this. Like I wonder, you know, if they even go that route, they might not, which is a Peter Jackson thing, I think. But
And you're right though, Nick. You did word it well. It looks a little bit more like The Hobbit, and I guess I just wasn't as much of a fan of The Hobbit, so maybe that's why I don't look at the style as favorably as I was if it had mimicked more the Lord of the Rings. But again, it's only a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
You know, we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into yet.
know The Hobbit pretty well because I re-edited the whole movie to make it fit the books.
Oh my gosh!
Have a link to it. I don't know how to share it with you guys, but maybe we can
What?
find a way in the future.
Wait,
where I don't
Nick,
get
you
in trouble.
did?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I'll totally send it to you, Kyle. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I would love to share with everyone. I just don't know how to do that legally where I don't get in trouble.
Right. It'll only
don't
be in
do
hush
that.
hush closed
Do not
circles.
do that.
Yes.
No, he won't be in hush hush. He'll be in a hush hush padded cell.
God.
Let me just tell you, I cut out all of Legolas's scenes and all of the female elf scenes because that does not belong there. Anyways, let's go. Okay, is there any final thoughts you guys want to talk about with this trailer? I know we talked about you guys are excited. The visuals. I mean, obviously it's a teaser trailer too, so this probably isn't even the final VFX stuff we're getting too. They're probably still cleaning up stuff, so we can be like, oh, it's super clean, but who knows what the final output's going to be. So
I think that I don't care if it looks a little bit different. Of course, we're gonna see some you know, some like geez. The English language failed me just now. Like I think we're going
you can speak Dwarvish if you want.
I think we're going to see some visual themes that will like be recognizable. But remember, this is a different time period in the Lord of the Rings world, right? So like it is kind of fitting that it has a different look to it, right? So that's just my take. on that.
Cool. All right, cool. There you go. There's a discussion. Let us know down below if you're excited for the Lord of the Rings trailer. No, movie. No, show. Gosh,
Wow.
I'm all over the place.
That's what
Butcher
Bilbo
that.
Baggins hates.
John, can you
Check
close
out
it out, please?
Azar.space for all the audio and video links. Let us know your comments down below on what you think and what you hope for with this new series coming up. And we'll see you on the next Azart.
Not the beard!
I couldn't think of anything. I'm like,
There's so
teaser
many
trailer.
Lord of the Rings quotes here. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. You know?